They think, I just want to tell people that I have this great product or service, and they will come to me and they will buy my product or service and they will be served well. I'll do a great job for them and my business will grow. Small Marketing Teams, Episode 3.
You're listening to the Small Marketing Team Show with Josh Paul, the podcast where you'll learn how to achieve big growth without a big budget.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me today for episode number 3 of the Small Marketing Teams podcast. This is the place where marketers, salespeople, and business owners will learn how to do more with less. Each week, I'll teach you how you can grow your company, how you can grow your business without the big budgets that we associate with marketing today. And oh man, I am so excited to share with you the value that I'm going to deliver today on this episode. So whether you are the only marketer in your company, and you're also the salesperson and the CEO and the person who does payroll, or you have a marketing team big enough to fill every seat in a Toyota Prius, you are in the right place. I'm your host, Josh Paul. Let's get started. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for joining me today on the Small Marketing Teams show. I'm your host, Josh Paul. I'd like to start today by sharing a little bit about what is going on in my life and my business. We're gearing up to exhibit for the first time, exhibit our software platform at the Inbound Conference in Boston in November. It's about 20,000 people that are going to be there. And we're in the process of picking a giveaway. How do you stay within budget as a small marketing team and pick a giveaway for 20,000 people, or half that, 10,000 people is what they recommend bringing to the show. And that reminded me of somebody who I worked with earlier in my career. He was the VP of marketing at a software company that I worked for. And he thought the be-all and end-all and most important part of marketing was picking giveaways and tchotchkes and promotional materials for conferences. And I watched him, and I think he was the most unproductive person that I had ever worked with. And that really influenced me as a marketer. He was busy all day. He was on all the vendors' websites and the promotional products websites, and what could we put our name on? That's what he's focused on. His goal was every day for months on end. And that really influenced me. So I developed a principle that I live by today that I want to share with you and make sure is in the forefront of your mind. And that is that there is a big difference between being busy and spending your time on the right activities. I'm going to say it again. There's a big difference between being busy and spending your time on the right activities when it comes to marketing. So not only does that get you focused on the right things, but it's a constant check for you throughout your journey of growing your business. When things aren't going well, when they're not yielding the results that I expect, I think back on my week or month or past few weeks and am I spending my time in the right places? Could I be spending my time in different places and get better results? As marketers, things evolve. You have to put out fires. Other priorities come up from your group, inside your strategy, or from other people in the company. And then you need to make sure that you stay on track. Are you spending your time on the right activities, or are you just busy? Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to the Small Marketing Teams podcast. You have a lot of choices in where you spend your time, and it means a lot to me that you find value in this show. It is the success and the challenges of your business that drive this podcast. We have some invaluable episodes coming up in the next few weeks, and I don't want you to miss a minute. So please, right now or at the end of this episode, go over to iTunes and click the subscribe button to make sure that you get each episode and the resources that I'm developing for you. Some of the offers are time sensitive, so you can go straight to the place where you can subscribe by visiting smallmarketingteams.com/iTunes. Thanks again for being part of the Small Marketing Teams community. Okay, so today I'm going to take a question from one of our listeners. This question comes from Alice in Wisconsin. She says she has totally bought into the idea of using content and inbound strategies to grow her business, but she hasn't started yet, and she's curious where she should start. Should she start on her website? Should she start blogging? And that's what I'm going to address today. So, Alice, thank you for your question. The answer really depends. There's two ways to approach this. The first is start blogging, start building your list, start building your top of the funnel, start getting found. And then once you've built a system to do that consistently, you have to continue to do that. And then you want to carve out the time to build your middle of the funnel offers, your product tours, your pricing calculators, your download the case studies, your get a free consultation. Those are your middle of the funnel offers. And there's a lot of variations on that. Middle of the funnel means it's half educational and half about your product. That's really the most simple way to explain it. So the first approach is really start to build that getting found process by blogging at the top of the funnel. The second approach, and then I'm going to tell you which one you should go with depending on something in your business. But the second approach is to work backwards. Make sure you have your bottom of the funnel offers in place, your request a demo, your purchase now, your contact sales, and then build your middle of the funnel offers. Those are people who aren't quite ready. They're shopping, but they're not quite ready to talk to a salesperson yet, or a company representative yet. And that's your tour, your pricing calculator, your case studies, your consultations. And once you have those in place, that's when you start focusing on the top of the funnel. And so here's what it depends on, whether you go from the top of the funnel down, or if you work your way backwards and go bottom of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and then the top of the funnel. It really depends on how long it's going to take you to build those middle of the funnel offers. For instance, a few months ago, we launched a new product, great launch, but we didn't have a middle of the funnel offer in place yet. It took me about a month to create the video product tour for that. And during that month, I could not push the top of the funnel content for this product. And the little that I could push was not very effective because I didn't have a middle of the funnel offer in place. So in that case, I wish I had started from the bottom and created that middle of the funnel offer. I wish I had had the time to have that in place for the launch so that we could market the hell out of it at the top of the funnel. But if you have a middle of the funnel, if you're just going to do a pricing calculator, if you have case studies in place that people can fill out a form and download, if that's not going to take very long to get into place, that middle of the funnel, then I'd focus all of your time on the top of the funnel, knowing that it won't take you long to shift gears in a week or two to make sure you have something in place in the middle of the funnel. But if it is going to take you a long time to build that product tour or something in the middle of the funnel, I'd make sure that you have that and that you devote the time to that and that you have that in place before you start working at the top of the funnel. Look at it this way. Do you remember the holiday dinner scene in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation? Do you remember what happens when they cut into the turkey? The turkey is essentially so dry that it deflates. It's absolutely disgusting to watch and to think about, but the turkey looks perfect, but there's nothing in the middle making it unusable. And that's what's going to happen to your sales and marketing process if you don't have that middle of the funnel in place. You're going to create all of this great, creative, top of the funnel content on your blog, on social networks. People are going to find you. They're going to convert at the top of the funnel. They're going to join your list, and then nothing. And then there's going to be nothing at the middle of the funnel if all you have is bottom of the funnel offers. And that's what we had a couple months ago. If all you have is contact sales or request a demo or buy our product, you're not going to get very many people to make the leap from the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel. You need something in the middle. Otherwise, your sales and marketing process is about as useful as that turkey dinner in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Great scene. Over the past couple of weeks, you've heard me talk a lot about the framework for setting up a marketing and sales funnel. And at the beginning of that lead generation process, before you can even get a subscriber or generate a lead, you have to get found. And that's step one in the fundamentals of setting up a modern marketing system. So getting found or attracting people to your business is job number one of small business marketers, small marketing teams, especially when the rest of your process is humming. You have a good product, leads are turning into customers, but regardless, nothing happens if people don't find you. The rest of your process doesn't matter. How do we measure getting found? Typically, 3 ways. Website visits is by far the number one way. Email inquiries and phone calls, inbound phone calls, incoming phone calls are the primary ways, but we're going to focus on website visits. When I started with my company, 300 people were coming to our website each month. Given it was a small market, but 300 visits each month is not enough to grow. So I'm going to talk about the approach that I used to grow that pretty dramatically, and with that, grow leads and grow sales. I know many of you are in the same boat today. You look at your Google Analytics account and you say, I only have 40 people coming to my website this month, or 300 or 500 or 600 or 1,000. You often need many, many more than that because a percentage of those are going to join your list. A percentage of those are going to become leads. Not all 1,000 visits will turn into leads. So why is getting found difficult for people? It would be so much easier if, and this is how people think in 80s and 90s marketing and the old way of marketing, they think, I just want to tell people that I have this great product or service and they will come to me and they will buy my product or service and they will be served well. I'll do a great job for them and my business will grow. But that's not how it works. That's not even close to how it works. People don't want to hear a sales pitch. When they go online, relatively few people are looking to buy a product like yours right now. You're going to have those people. And they're going to come to your website and contact you and make that purchase. But that's a very, very small percentage of people who are in a buying purchase mode right this minute. You could just focus on those people, but you'll just get the 300 visitors a month. You'll just get the 40 visitors a month and you'll make a few sales off it. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about growing your company with limited resources with a small marketing team. So what you need to understand is many more people, you have that small percentage that is shopping, but many, many more people are researching. They're researching, I have this problem, how do I solve it? They're researching products like yours. How much does it cost? What are the add-ons? Does it work? What does it look like if it's a retail product? What are other people saying about it? So they're researching it at all levels, starting with, I have this problem, or how do I solve this, or ideas for, I went on a date night the other night with my wife and I looked up Gilbert, Arizona date nights. It's an excellent problem that I had and I went online to solve it and I was researching. So just shouting, buy my product, you're not going to get much traffic. The people who are finding you, you're just going to continue that message, probably do some damage to your brand in the process. So that's what we want to avoid. Think about how you make purchases. Everything from a new watch to a new air conditioner to a car to services and technology for your business. Where do you turn first? You turn to online research. And when you're doing that research, how often are you ready to talk to a salesperson right away or make a purchase right away? And do you search for XYZ company's sales phone number? No, you're looking up their product and reviews and pricing and the specifics that you want to get that information. And I've mentioned this before. You are going to go pretty far down that sales process, 50, 60, 70% to making a selection before you talk to somebody. If your business can provide that information to people who are researching, that is how you get found. So you can't just hang out your shingle that you have something to sell and shout at everybody who can hear you, buy from me, buy from me. So what can you do? So I'm going to talk about the channels that I use and recommend. There's so many channels online. Here are the primary ones. The number one way that we get found is through our blog. We do long form blogging, about 1,000 words per post. Google likes that and it adds some meat to what people are finding and sharing. And I'll get into in another episode, long form versus short posts, pros and cons, and when to mix it up. But the second channel is video and primarily YouTube. Secondarily, but very close second, Facebook video, and just doing these short 1, 2, 3 minute videos on a certain topic in this next section. So I'm going to talk about the channels, then I'm going to talk about what to talk about in your content at a very high level, and then how to distribute that content. That's the way that we're going to approach this getting found topic that is so important. We have blogging, we have video, then there's speaking. You can do live speaking at conferences, at user groups, at local chamber of commerce. You You can partner with people and do some co-marketing and speak at their events and on their webinars. You can also do a promotion, do some influencer marketing, and get on people's podcasts to be interviewed about something. If there's a podcast about your industry or about small businesses in your town, how can you build a relationship with the people who sponsor or run that podcast and share some valuable information that their audience would want to know? You can also start your own podcast. That's a great channel for getting found. And we'll get into that, the details of that in another episode, but it's easy. It's very inexpensive. It's a great way to get found and build an audience, to attract people to your message and to the way that you're changing the world and ultimately your company. And then the last channel, we've talked about blogging, we've talked about video, talked about speaking, creating your own podcast. And then last I want to mention writing on other people's blogs or third-party websites, building a relationship with the editors at Forbes magazine or your local newspaper. My wife used to write a column when we owned a children's bookstore. She used to write a column for our local newspaper on children's books and reviewing books and tips for parents. And that got us found people who are reading the newspapers. These people sound like an authority, or that this bookstore sounds like an authority. I'm going to go to them next time I need a recommendation to buy a gift or a book for my child. So other people's blogs, third-party websites, or publications is the fifth channel that I want to bring up tonight. There's some other more obscure channels, but these are the five that we use, and these are the five that I want to get you started in. Next, I want to talk about what kind of content to create, what to blog about, what to podcast about. And so the hard and fast simple rule is be helpful. Think about your target personas. What problems do they have? Be useful. You want actionable things that they can learn right away or put into practice right away. And you want it to be original. You don't want to copy what everyone else has out there. You need to do some critical thinking, and it shouldn't be hard. You're not making this stuff up. You're in this business. So if you answer the questions that are in the heads of your prospects, the fears they have, what they're trying to accomplish, here's how they can do it. So just to get you started, here's some easy intros to blog articles, easy title formats. You can do how-to articles. You can do 5 ways to do ABC. You can answer why. It's kind of a more high-level critical thinking piece. Why this industry needs this, or why your wife will probably be disappointed on Valentine's Day. If you have some tips for why that'll happen and how to avoid it, that's something that would attract quite a few readers. You can do mistakes to avoid. You can do trends in your space and industry. And lastly, one that gets a lot of attention because it is super actionable, super helpful, super useful, is step-by-step instructions. 5 steps to doing your taxes in less than 2 hours. And I'll at some point create a free gift for you, for your podcast listeners, and I'll promote it on the podcast. I'll put it on the Small Marketing Team's website, of about 50 blog title formats that you could easily use so that you never run out of original blog content, but at the same time, it keeps you on the straight and narrow in terms of providing helpful content, not crossing over into the buy from me, buy from me, buy from me. All right, so we've talked about channels to build content on to get found and why it's important to do that rather than just advertise your product and shout at people that you have something for sale. And then we've talked about what to write about, what tone this content should take, and some easy ways to get started. Next, I want to talk about getting your content in front of the right audience. And so here's how we do it. First, you have to cross-link internal content. It's kind of a basic thing. You want to, one blog post that references something that you wrote about last week, you want to link to that previous article. So it's good to keep a running list of the blog titles and blog articles that you've created. Something that we do often, we have this one page on our website that lists everything we've ever published. So if we are looking to link something, a lot of times we'll write the full blog article, and then after it's over, we'll go back and add links in every 100 or 200 words. And what we do is we link the keyword that we want to get found for to a relevant blog article that is targeting that keyword. For instance, in our online community software, if we somewhere in some sentence it says, many of you want to increase customer engagement, we will link increase customer engagement to our blog blog article that says 31 ways to increase customer engagement. Do you see how that works? The anchor text that's being linked says increase customer engagement. The term, one of the keyword phrases that we're targeting that blog article is increase customer engagement. So we will do that linking there. And so we go to the page that on our website, on our blog, that lists all the blog article titles, and we'll do Control F or Command F if you're on a Mac, and we will search for customer engagement or increase customer engagement, and it'll show you all the articles. You'll just kind of tab down, and it'll show you all the articles that have that term in it, and you'll just pick the one that you want to link to. So that's a quick and easy way to make sure that you're linking correctly internally. So that's step one. Next is we distribute it, everything that we publish on, in audio, video, on our blog, we distribute it to our social media accounts and our social media profiles and our social media followers. I've talked about this in the past. There's a lot of approaches to doing this. We promote everything that we publish 12 times to each of our Twitter accounts and 6 times to LinkedIn, Google+, and Facebook. Look for an upcoming episode where we talk exclusively about content distribution because it is so important with as much content as being produced in your industry, by your competitors, by you. You want to make sure you're leveraging the investment that you're making in creating content by getting it in front of the right people. So we've talked about cross-linking internally. I've talked about distributing it to the people following you on social networks. Next is email, emailing your list and getting in front of those people that way. You may need to segment your list because the content that you are producing may not be relevant to everyone on your list. They may not be interested in that product. They may be in a different industry. It all depends on how complicated your buyer personas are. We have about 5 different personas and they're in different industries. So a lot of times we're emailing something out to just one of those segments. One of the most effective ways we've found of distributing our content and spreading the word, spreading our message is paid social. And that's Twitter campaigns and boosted posts on Facebook and LinkedIn as well. And it's very, very inexpensive, especially compared to ads on those networks. But you can really micro-target people in the demographics that you just want to target, and identifying your most popular content and promoting that, boosting that to get it in front of a very, very targeted audience. It costs you pennies per click to get to that content, but it also gets you in front of people who are not currently on your list. And that's really, really important. And then the final of the 5 distribution channels that I want to talk to you about today is repurposing that content. Let's say you write a blog post. You want to turn that blog post into a SlideShare presentation, upload it to SlideShare. You want to turn it into a video, upload it to YouTube and Facebook video and Vimeo. You want to turn that blog post into an infographic and short snippets on LinkedIn and Facebook and multiple tweets as well. And each of these we can talk about for an entire episode, and we will. We'll get into the deep details of exactly how we do it, what we've learned works, what we've learned doesn't work. But that's all I want to talk about today for distribution. So cross-linking internally, social followers, email, paid social, and then repurposing the content. And when you repurpose, use target different keywords as well. You don't need this to compete with each other for the same keywords. You want to use different keywords, slightly different keywords, so that one piece of content gets you found for multiple keywords. So I told you we started with 300 visitors to our website each month, 300 people finding us. Right now we average about 15,000 people coming to our website in this niche market every month. And that's by really following this 3-part process. Picking your channels that work for you, testing. We test new channels all the time. And so we sometimes we add them, sometimes they go in fashion, out of style, but we use the ones that work for us because we can measure people finding us and coming to our website. Next is we make sure that we provide the most educational, helpful content in the industry. And then lastly, we consistently distribute our content. We have processes in place, and it doesn't take a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of expertise, but every time something is published, it goes out through almost all of our channels to make sure that it gets in front of as many people as possible. So a couple challenges before we wrap up. The things that you're going to run into and that we're going to address later on in this podcast is producing this content that's going to get you found consistently. I'll talk about some hacks to do this and some processes that you can put in place so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And then also making sure that your quality is still high and that it doesn't take a ton of time of yours to produce this content. So those 3 areas, look for hacks over the next few weeks. That's exactly what I want to share with you because we found some things that'll save you a ton of time. After all, that's what being part of a small marketing team is all about, getting results by doing doing more with less and being smarter about it, putting these processes in place so that you can scale every part of the funnel, starting with getting found. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there is so much more that I want to share with you about getting found, and I will as this podcast continues. But to help you put today's advice into action, I have a free gift for you. On the show notes page of today's episode, you can find a guide to the 3 keys to getting found. There's a lot of information out there about getting found, and I'm going to go over a lot of information, but these are the 3 areas that you need to focus on to help make sense of everything else. You can find this free gift at smallmarketingteams.com/3 for episode 3. So that's smallmarketingteams.com/3. Be sure to leave a rating and a review in iTunes, and then subscribe to the Small Marketing Teams show so that you don't miss next week's episode. This week we talked about getting found. Next week I'm going to share with you the down and dirty secrets to converting website visitors into leads once they find you, once they land on your website. In the meantime, visit smallmarketingteams.com to sign up to get notified when a new podcast episode is released, along with getting free bonus tips for small marketing teams like you. Thanks for listening.